So we're here at Old Trafford and today we're discussing the huge problems with Manchester United's defence this season. This is episode 7 of Football's Going Home and let's get into it. Well, the reason I want to talk about Manchester United's defence is because it has been woeful this season. We got beat 3-1 by Manchester City at the weekend in the Manchester derby. We're playing Everton on Saturday, and really it's just not been good enough for Manchester United this season in any shape of the word. Because when you actually look at the stats behind this, the numbers that scrutinise Manchester United's defence, it really is quite shocking. Now, Manchester United this season have used 24 different defensive combinations. So out of a defence with Diogo Dalot, Victor Lindelof, Rafael Varane, Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Johnny Evans, Sofian Amrabat, Willy Kumbala. I've just done it all in one breath. Yes, United's defence has been a mess. Now, if you're going to play 24 different defensive combinations, then you're going to concede goals. It is quite simple. Now, it's not all Erik ten Hag's fault that he likes to tinker with his team. A lot of this has been caused by injuries. Diogo Dalot has probably been the one defender out of that list that I can say has done well for Manchester United seasons, actually improved under ten Hag. But you've got the likes of Lisandro Martinez, out injured, 2 massive injuries, underwent surgery at the start of the season. He's now out for the rest of the season, it seems. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is currently injured. Harry Maguire, little injury problems here and there as well. He's currently out injured. Sofian Amrabat is not a defender, but he's had to play at left back and has not been good when in that position. Willy Kumbala is an academy graduate that isn't ready for first team football and has had to play the odd game here or there. Luke Shaw, another massive miss for Manchester United. He's hopefully back before the end of the season, before the Euros as well with England. And then, you know, we often criticise the likes of Rafael Varane because he's not lived up to his potential at Manchester United. Harry Maguire because it's a huge price tag. But it's hard to get the best out of defence when it's constantly changing. You look at the best defences in the league. You look at Manchester City, you look at Arsenal, you look at Liverpool. It's consistent with who is playing week in, week out. Or if it's not, there's only 1 or 2 changes here and there. It's not wholesale changes like Manchester United are doing. So 24 different defensive combinations this season is one of the huge reasons why we concede so many goals. Our current goal difference is -2. In comparison, Arsenal's is +45. So Arsenal are 47 goals better off than Manchester United season, and that's a team that we're meant to be competing with on all levels. So it's not been good enough, and we're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of the statistics as we walk around Old Trafford. We've come round to the Stretford end here at Old Trafford to carry on talking about Manchester United's defensive problems that they've had this season. Now, after 27 Premier League games this season, Manchester United have conceded 39 goals to leave them with a goal difference overall at this stage in the campaign of -2. Now, -2, as we already spoke about kind of in context of Arsenal, the likes of Manchester City, Liverpool, they're all in the high numbers because they score goals and they defend well. Manchester United have struggled to score goals and they also can't defend properly this season. And that is where they've really been let down. Now, the 15 goals previously that Manchester United conceded in the Champions League this season, the group stage before they were knocked out, is the most that any Premier League team has ever conceded in that European competition. And that is a huge concern. United's worst goal difference in recent memory at the end of a season, I believe, was 0. That was the first time it's not been positive since 1990, and that was a few seasons ago. Currently, there is time to go in the season, but United at this stage of the season to be on -2. West Ham beneath us in the table, I believe, are 1 worse off on -3. But that is a major concern. A lot of the reasons we've already touched on, kind of how injuries have played their part, but Erik ten Hag's system doesn't suit not conceding goals. It's a very attack-dominated system. United like to defend 1v1. And what that means is that when you're not good enough to defend 1v1 against the type of opposition that they've come up against this season, you're going to have major problems. Now, against Manchester City at the weekend, Manchester City entered United's box 43 times across 90 minutes in that Derby Day defeat. That is the most that Manchester United have had an opposition team work the ball into their box in 7 years. You saw the likes of Johnny Evans getting beat by Erling Haaland, but that's a contest that United should never find themselves in anyway. Rafael Varane was getting pulled to pieces. Then you had Diogo Dalot, who actually performed all right, but Victor Lindelof at left back again, out of position, and I think it was Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden. They were clicking and getting the ball working into United's box, and that just shows how far United's defence is and how much it needs to be reconstructed in the summer transfer window. Of course, you can't just get rid of all the players. You know, if I was looking at United's defensive list, I'd probably say, okay, Diogo Dalot I'd keep, Willy Kambala because he's an academy graduate and I think he's been thrust into the first team unfairly this season, largely through injuries and poor performances. But then you've got the likes of Rafa Varane, get rid of. Harry Maguire, get rid of. Victor Lindelof, get rid of. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, get rid of. You know, the list goes on and on. And that's not just defence. We'll touch on that in another video about the other players that I think Manchester United needs to get rid of this summer. But if Manchester United want to compete for top trophies, if they want to, you know, get into the Champions League, which is our aim nowadays, it seems, then you have to do a lot better defensively than what we currently have been doing. Erik ten Hag, look, I'm not a coach, so I'm not going to, you know, tell him what he needs to do, what tactics he needs to deploy. But this tactic of 1v1 defending doesn't work for Manchester United. It might work if they had better players, but you have to kind of look at it in some context and say, we're struggling to score goals. We're conceding far, far too many. Look, a -2 goal difference at this stage in the season for a club of this stature is embarrassing. It entirely is embarrassing. And we talk about getting into the Champions League. We talk about challenging for the Premier League and, you know, becoming Champions League winners again one day. You can't do that if you just keep conceding goals like you are. Now, you have to balance playing defensive football with attacking football. But I tell you what, you have to find some balance where you stop the chances being created. Because we've seen in so many times this season, I think even when we went on that run recently after the start of the year, where we were winning games, we were unbeaten, it was almost false. Because you always knew that when you came up against a top team, we're going to get carved open. And that's exactly what happened against City the weekend. And it's exactly what will happen if we carry on the way that we are with this approach, with the defenders that we have. So it's not been good enough. And a change is massively needed between now and the end of the season. So is Erik ten Hag entirely to blame for Manchester United's woeful defensive record this season? Well, it's kind of a yes and no argument. Injuries have played their part undoubtedly, but Erik ten Hag hasn't changed his system really that much throughout the year. And if you've not got the right personnel to play how you want to play football, then you need to change something else instead. Now, United like to play in this 4-2-3-1 formation, sometimes 4-3-3. We started with a 5 at the back against City, and it just didn't work, and we quickly kind of changed that throughout the game. Now, if I'm the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and this Ineos team that has now got sporting control of Manchester United with a 27.7% stake in the club, and I see United finish with a minus goal difference or a 0 goal difference or even a plus 10 goal difference, which is embarrassing, then I'm going to have serious reservations about whether he can actually improve this team. Now, injuries, of course, play a massive part, and Erik ten Hag, really, that's probably been his go-to excuse season. Actually, I think that's why a lot of Manchester United fans haven't got on his case as much as maybe we would if those players were fit. But the players that we've still had in defence, you'd have to say, are better than still what other teams have got in the Premier League. Now, I'm not talking about the likes of City, Tottenham, Arsenal, Liverpool, you know, even Aston Villa, you could say to an extent in defence under Unai Emery. I'm talking about the teams below United, the mid-table teams, the West Ham that are just a couple of points beneath us, and they're kind of, you know, their goal difference I think is just -1 worse off than what ours is. And so that is a huge concern, because if you can't get a better goal difference than what you currently got with the defenders that you have at your disposal, then you're probably going to be in a situation whereby, you know, they're going to look to make a change in the summer. Would another manager get a better defensive record with this Manchester United team? Look, it's all kind of speculative. It's all based off opinion, but there is concern. Manchester United probably need to make changes to their defence here against Everton at the weekend. Everton are fighting for survival. United, this is a massive test. They don't want to fight for the top 4, top 5 that could get you Champions League, or are they just going to peter out like we've seen in previous seasons? So a change in defensive personnel is needed. Injuries have got their part, but a system has to be changed to suit the demands of the team at that time. It's not worked. We've got a few games left. Erik ten Hag's job is on the line, and United's defence knows it. That's it then for episode 7 of Football's Going Home here at Old Trafford, talking about Manchester United's defensive problems this season. Hopefully they improve, and I also hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you make of United's defence and what needs to change, and we'll see you next time here on Football's Going Home.